Hello, Church of Inclusion, Jonathan's Refuge, and all of our faithful followers and friends from around the world. Sorry about the adjustments while we're in here. I'm in, as you all know, we're actually right behind me is the house, the headquarters. It's a 3,100 square foot house that we are adding 5,000 square feet to, making it over 8,000 square feet, which is a mansion. And we're doing this for our headquarters. Yes, you can sit down. Sorry, I have people in here working too. This house is got a office and everything, but it's all being developed and built right now. It's the next 12 months of my life is in construction. So forgive that part, but we're in we bought a beautiful $85,000 fifth wheel and we got a great deal on it. I won't say what, but a good deal. That wasn't a great, it was an okay deal. And then we found out it had a lot of broken things because people don't like to share that when they're selling stuff. So anyways, we're coming to you from the temporary office right now. And tonight's message is about grace. I always jump right into things. We don't like to dally too long. As the message is only 20 minutes usually. And for those that are at the church in Marysville tonight, there's two videos you're going to have played before you watch this. So they were on the word grace. One of them is grace will lead you home. I changed that term. Grace could lead you home. A lot of my friends who are specific faiths will try to say, no, grace will. Grace will provide a way, but it ain't leading you home unless you choose to accept the grace. So you have to actually take grace to have the grace lead you home. You have to also practice giving grace to get grace. I remember once I had a person that I wanted to forgive me. I violently beat them. I broke their leg and shattered their knee with a baseball bat. It is to this day, and I lose sleep for years on it until I finally was able to come to peace. Not peace with it, peace with, okay, I've tried to attempt to make, an apology, restitution, however I can, right, to this person. And I can't. In that person's mind, I can't. So I live with that, and that's part of life. You just have to, you do your best. If someone says no, there's nothing you can do. But up until then, I never gave grace to if you all know, most of you remember the stories and you've heard them, a lot of you over the years. But when I was 7, my daddy pastored one of the largest churches in America in Redding, California. And so the elder, one of the head lead elders of the church, he was an older man, the wealthiest guy in town. Son's the assistant chief of police. We later found out he was like a sadist. He liked beating people. And I was up on my dad's, the church has a stage, and then that's what they call the altar, right? And then behind it was the baptismal pool and the choir area and all that, where the pastor sat. And so I'd go play every day. I'd go play there. And my daddy was at church and I was homeschooled. So I did my homeschool at the church. My mom had our classes there, and then we'd be able to play around, and I loved it. And I turned around and that elder grabbed me and just started beating my face at 7. This part of my whole face was completely shattered, all those bones. Every rib on this side was shattered, but the bottom one, and I was 7. So my life kind of from there, I used that as the excuse to fall apart. And that's what people do. See, when someone says, well, I was raped brutally once in prison. Let me tell you something. You can use that as your excuse all you want, but that's just it. It's an excuse. So when someone says to me, oh, my life's fallen apart because I was raped. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Did that happen last week, last month? When did it happen, if you don't mind? It was 32 years ago. Man, I was raped, and it wasn't 32 years ago. It was only, I won't say how many years back, but guess what? It's an excuse. It is a legit excuse, but it's an excuse. So if I want to, I can go ahead and blame everything for that. I can blame the elder for smashing. I was 7 years old. What did I do? I didn't do anything. Nothing. But I used it as an excuse to say why I'm spiraling down as a teenager. My life's bad because that guy, you don't understand. I never got grace until something happened. I had to give it first. You're talking to a man that does not give first for the majority of his entire life. I didn't give first except in only like one area of my life. I, as a boy, was so touched with the homeless people that my father's church ministered to that I gave my food to them. And we were a poor family. I'm talking poor. Grew up when pastors didn't make salaries that were through the roof like they do now. Um, that stuff was crazy. You might have made, I think Daddy's first church I remember he was making $100 a month. Most of my uncles and them at the time were making like 1,400. Okay. He was making piddlings. They didn't pay. If you were a pastor, it's because you really wanted to be. Nowadays, pastors make six figures, then they got jets they fly on. Not at this church. We don't take any salaries, and our ministers take zero salaries. We don't have jets, and we pay for any travel we do out of our own pocket. And so back then, you were poor. We had no money. We had nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And I'm sitting here as a child, and I'm willingly giving my food up. I loved feeding and clothing the naked. When you saw a homeless man that was crazy and thrown, and I loved helping that guy that no one wanted to talk to, and I gave him my food, or that girl who was the cat lady and the psycho lady on the street on The Simpsons or whatever. That was my people. That was my childhood ministry, started in there. And so, but in my real life, the rest of it was me first until I got to my 40s. And about 40 years old, I woke up and said, whoa, I'm not happy. And I changed my whole life, and I gave all my money away. I took all of my millions and gave it away to my nonprofits. I don't take a penny from them. I take no salary. Most of my staff work at below wage of what their titles are. This is not a place, and our organizations are not a place where people get rich, but they are where people change their lives, because we give, say the word, grace. See, when a guy comes out of prison, we don't give them 3 grace periods, 4 grace periods. They get grace. They're coming in the program. That is the grace. My program cost a ton of money. I won't get into details. The state pays a small fee to our men's home. My men's home pays over $300 a month above that for the men to be in our program, because we take them to concerts and shows. And forget all the other stuff. There's like multiple houses the men can move from this house, which is an entry level house when you get out of prison, and they can go to another house, which is nicer. Then they can go to a really nice house. And then this 8,000 square foot mansion that's being built. That's not waiting. People are here right now, up here, using it, enjoying it. We've got people that do picnics up here. They bring their families here to enjoy the views. We overlook. Listen, I'm going to show you something right now. Let me show you what we overlook. This is our view that and where my millions of dollars goes. Right there. Look at that. That's over that little ridge where the sun's setting. That's the ocean. That's the sound. And as you scan around here, this is 900 feet above sea level, and it's sitting on 15 acres. We have people that come and ask to stay in the different RVs. We have multiple RVs. We have multiple rooms. Even though the whole place is under construction, we're still helping and changing the lives of our people day by day. And the men, when they get out, that's grace number one. Sometimes over some time, they will make a mistake, and making mistakes are okay. You're just not allowed to make them twice. Making them twice, you're out. So we give grace. The men don't get grace. DOC, prisons, there's not much grace. Okay, there's just not. So when a person is given grace, what's interesting is most of the time I found when I wanted to get grace from a person I hurt, I needed to find who hurt me the most that I haven't given that grace to. I had to forgive the elder who smashed that little 7-year-old boy's face and ribs. And I didn't realize how much I actually resented that person. How much. Now they ended up dying years later, and so there's no way I can go back and have that conversation. Like, what's wrong with you? Why'd you do this? You want to apologize? None of that stuff could happen. It's all gone. They're dead. It's over. So what do? Before that happened, I was able to say, I forgive you. What if they're dead? I just lost my dad last year at the very end of the year, a very sore subject to me. I don't talk too much about it still because it's very fresh. My ex-wife in a divorce did some things that were very bad with my father. And my dad died before I could actually forgive him for what he did. And when someone says you shouldn't say that on TV, that makes it, there's no immoral stuff. I'm talking about there was a divorce and she convinced him to take her side in the divorce and stuff. And then at the very end, he again made an apology to me on a phone call right before he died. And so I had to forgive him after he's dead. So this works the same way. Do you understand? In forgiving him, the message was already on my phone, but I didn't discover it. But I forgave him. And instantly, I'm working, and all of a sudden I see a message, and it's my dad, and he was apologizing too. He's like, I'm sorry, son. You know, I got to remember, people separate. That this marriage is split. It happens. It's not fun. There's nothing, no one gets married saying, I want a divorce. But when there's an impassable wall and it can never change, it's time to move on. And he's the old school minister. You stick with it until the end. It doesn't matter how bad it is. And so I had to forgive him for that. It might seem minuscule to some people who aren't of a Christian faith, but in the Christian faith, it's sometimes we're frowned upon if you're, and I'm an archbishop. I'm not just a pastor. I oversee over 2,000 ministers. There are 2,000 men and women around the world that call me on a weekly basis to say, hey, boss, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? I've got my degrees in seminary. I've spent a lifetime touring the world, preaching to churches all over the world, building churches. But at the end of the day, what is the secret to getting grace? In all the years of the travel and seeing people experience grace, I discovered it's when you show grace first. So who's hurt you the most? And you say, I can't forgive them. Nobody's going to forgive you. I can't forgive them. Nobody's going to give you grace. It's not flowing as fast as it could. The universe and God, it works on a really simple basis. It's a boomerang. You take this remote, and if I fling it as a boomerang, you know what happens? It goes out, 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 up, and around and back. I hate my ex-wife. I hate my first ex-wife. Guess what? That's hatred. I'm spending hatred and energy. It's going out. You know what that energy is doing? It's coming right back at me, right back at me. The next day, bang, someone at the office hates me. Someone in an opposing company hates me. A politician I'm working with in local communities hates me. And I'm like, what did I do? I'll tell you what you did. You flung out all that hate to your two ex-spouses, and it just boomeranged your ass around here and went, bam, you got what you asked for. Wait a second. I never asked for that. You did. You see, as long as I am aggressive on that freeway driving the car and the guy cuts me off and I'm like, nobody cuts me off. Do you know I'm Jonathan Brown? I used to be the Irish beast, baby. I just... Nobody cares. And the worst part is the only person I really actually hurt on all those years of being an aggressive driver was my heart and this person. The stress put more chemicals that get released from the anger and the upsetness, and you drive your heart to a max and you don't realize that blood pressure is killing you and you're doing it to yourself. The guy that cut you off, he cut you off. So what? Let it go. And so I sit there and I can get angry. I had a guy in my organization said some smack and talked some smack about me. And at first, as a human, I'm like, well, that's real simple. Let's just go toss him out. Bye-bye. Problem resolved. Yeah, I'm going to give him grace. I'll let that slide. And it doesn't affect me because I don't care. Really? At the end of the day, do I really care about what one person says about me? No, I don't. I care about what God thinks about me. I care about what my loved ones think about me. My best friends, I have a couple that are very important to me, and I care what they think about me. But the rest of the world, if you think about it, that's a boomerang you're sending out. So when you say, but not my victim, I mean, I'm the victim, my attacker, my person. Yes, they were evil. What they did was evil. The person who brutally raped me in prison was evil. And you know what? He put evil out. He didn't die of natural causes. FYI, I had nothing to do with it. He's dead, and he died a pretty brutal death. Why? Boomerang it out, and it comes back and takes you out. Now, I know some of you will say, yeah, but JB, I've seen people that are violent, evil people, and they lived a great life. People said that about Pablo Escobar, one of the big drug dealers in Medellin, Colombia. And they said it about El Chapo. El Chapo was running the crews when my crews were running things back in those days. And these people, they were so rich. They had, like, listen, if you look at what was the first name I just said? Pablo. If you look at Pablo Escobar, he had a house and it had a full zoo, lions, giraffes, a full zoo, the same zoo that we have in Seattle. They had it in his house. It was at his yard. It was on his old compound. This guy owns all the head soccer teams of the whole country. He even became a congressman in their politics because of how much money he had. So everyone thought he had this great life, and he was evil. And he died a brutal death, shot like 9 times through the body, chest, head, on a roof with no shirt on, no shoes or socks on, pair of pants, running for his life. And he only had one other guy in the building trying to help him. And he had over $1 billion, folks. Money doesn't buy you happiness. I got more money than you can shake a stick at or need. Filthy rich money, kind that just makes you go, we can go anywhere we want and disappear. I could take my best friend right now, me and her could just get out of here, take off, move anywhere in the world we want to go, and live a 6-figure life every year, spending it, and never have to worry about money. And that's not even touching the principal. Okay? Money means nothing. That's why I gave it all away, so that it will actually live and grow and build something that changes the lives of people. See, our organization never lost a guy to prison because first we give them grace, and then we show them how to get more grace. You got to give it up and forgive those who have hurt you. You got to take the person who stepped on you and say, oh, this is tough. I love you. And I had to instantly forgive people, including an ex. The second it's over, you got to forgive them. Because if you don't, you're only harming you. Your problem and all your drama is your problem and all your drama because of you, not because of the person perpetrating it. The boomerang effect is us. We put out evil, evil comes back. Well, that's not evil. When you say I hate something, it's evil. I sometimes have to grab myself. I won't tell you which football team it is, but all of you know there's 2 in the NFL that I do not. And I used to say I hate them. And then one of my dear friends in our organization, Sierra, she looked at me and she says, it's okay to totally not like them at all, like beyond anything. But change the word hate and find out how much more good comes in your life. You see, the words release chemicals in your body. I didn't even know that until I talked to my cardiologist and my neurologist and found out when I talk about hatred, they have scientifically at the Stanford University and at Harvard Med School have done 3 different studies, and all 3 were done at both universities, separate, West Coast, East Coast, California, Massachusetts. And here's what they came up with. Anytime a human says, I hate an apple, I hate vegetables, I hate taxes, I hate Democrats, I hate Republicans, I hate this, your body instantly, every time I'm saying it even, I'm releasing a chemical to my vascular system that has just depleted my life. So, you want to go out there and tell me how much you hate the person who hurt you? Because all you're hurting is yourself. That person doesn't care. Funny thing is, that old man who beat that 7-year-old boy, he never thought of me once ever, I can assure you. He just didn't. I was a nothing, a nobody. There are people that don't, the guys that cut you off on the freeway, sometimes they cut you off and don't even know. Like they're jamming out to their music and they're just jerks driving. And you're thinking it was personal. Like that's what I thought. It was personal. They cut me off. They know who I am. My truck's notable. I'm pretty famous. That's the kind of stuff we all as humans think. You know, that guy saw me, honey. He looked at me. He eyeballed me. Well, actually, he probably was looking at the car next to you that had that hot chick hanging out the window waving at him, but you didn't see that. You just thought it was about you because by nature, we all think everything's about us. Everyone does it at the end of the day. If I say something around someone, they're like, oh, he was talking about me. Nope, wasn't talking about you, honey. I was talking about him. Nope, wasn't talking about you, buddy. I was talking about her. And so grace, we got to give the grace to get past that. To get grace, we got to forgive. And in forgiving, we let go. Letting go does not mean I associate. My first ex-wife did some pretty nasty things, and I mean duplicable. Ran and took the children and fled the state, kidnapping the children. She tried to explain she was fleeing for her life, except the FBI, every court, every police department, everyone, when they finally found her, said, get your butt back here. You're not allowed to kidnap children. And so she was dragged back here. And luckily, at the time, I should have just had her arrested, and they could have. But I said to myself, I'm going to give grace, right? I'm going to give grace. And then when the divorce went through and all the millions were sold, literally the money was gone. It was stolen. It was gone. Assets were sold. So they charged her a fine. Good luck. Collect the fine. She got the money. It's gone. Things are gone. Or you got your best friends or your kids. How do you deal with that? I'm going to delve into this real quick because we're going to wrap it up. But I need you to hear this. When my son died, I was in prison when the news came. He was in his early 20s. He was supposed to quit fighting. I told him to stop. I used to fight pro boxing. Then I went into cage fighting before it was called MMA. 3 black belts, great records, never been knocked out. 27 wins, 6 losses. And that was just in boxing. 225 weight level. And then I went into the cage fighting. I bumped up 50 because I wanted to fight a couple guys that I really wanted to knock out and know I could do it. My son later found out I used to be a mobster. He found out I used to be this guy, and he started following my path and became a fighter. And he's got a heart problem like me. So his mother, she just passed, was one of my best friends. And we tried to convince him to stop. He didn't. And he died because of that in the ring fighting. I had to give myself grace. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'll be honest with you. Because I'm the one to blame. There's no old man to blame on this one. It's me. I was the guy who, at 12 years old, ran the largest drug ring because I said I had to survive. I didn't. I was the guy that said, I have to become the boss for the Irish in the whole state of Maine. I have to do this stuff because there's no other option. And I have to beat people so bad and make it so bad that there's not a person that will ever flinch. That's how you get out of that business. I left the business. You don't get the 5 families in New York and Boston and everybody up there to say, yeah, you get to leave. Nope. There's a reason they let me go. They're scared. They're terrified. 30 years later, they still scared, still terrified. I'm not even the same guy. So that record, that reputation, that violent past in that 10-year span was so bad that my child wanted to emulate it. I modeled something epic, and my son's dead. That's okay. God gives you, second chances, right? My 3rd son is sitting in prison here in Washington for murder. I won't say which gang he joined, but he decided to get involved and do a murder. Again, I laid this life out. He heard the stories like it was comical. It was, yeah, your old man was so bad, dude. He did this, and people just part ways. And your old man, and he hears these stories, and they emulate it, and they want to be like that. So who's to blame for this one? Me. Now watch this. This is the hardest part. I have to give myself grace, and I have to forgive myself. And if I do that, maybe someday that boomerang that goes out might come back. And maybe, according to my best friend over here, she says, maybe someday God and grace will lead him home. And that's why that message in the opening says grace could lead you home. And that's the message, is that grace could lead you home. You still got to do your part. It won't lead you home until you forgive those that harmed you. So if they've harmed you, you need to have a slate of people. Put it on a piece of paper. Every person that hurt you and that you have not forgiven, because as long as you haven't forgiven them, and as long as you hold resentment, you're done. You'll never be the greatest version of you can be. You'll never receive the full max amount of grace that you could get. And you will never find that moment of Zen, that peace, that one with God amount that I literally can walk by someone who harmed me and look at them and say, I love you, brother. God bless. Now, I don't like them. Make no mistake. There are people I will never speak to again. Loving and forgiving, you can do that. You can love a person even though they beat you senseless. You don't ever have to see them again. You don't have to be around people like them again. You can change and say, country folk beat me up. I'm never going to be around country folk. That's fine. Go do your own thing in another part of the world. Go to the city, or it's the city folk, or it's this folk, or it's that race, or it's this guy. Whatever hurts you, whoever hurts you, but you gotta let that go, or it's gonna kill you. You're talking to an expert on killing himself by holding all that hatred and all of that resentment and all of that anger inside. I found a person who learned to let it go and their body healed itself. So I started down the path in my late 30s, started the eye opening at 40. Do I have it mastered? No. I hope someday I can instantly forgive, like bang, 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 bang. It sometimes takes me a couple weeks. I've had a few that's taken me a few months, but nothing's taken me more than a year since I started this journey. And every year it gets lesser because I'm flipping working my butt off to make sure I offer that grace and forgiveness to all so I can continue to put the good vibe out there. I don't even listen to bad stuff. The news is so bad. It's all you hear is horrible stuff. So I have this specific block of stuff I need to hear about because of industries. I need to know what our legislature is doing in my state. So I do watch the channel, listen to what bills are being passed because that's critical upon funding from multiple companies that I work with, that I own. And so that's important, but I limit it. I have a small window that I say I'm going to watch the news from here to here, and I'm talking short. I'm not talking an hour. I'm not even talking 40 minutes. I try to get it done in like 12, 15 minutes because the more I'm there, the more my blood pressure, the more I'm just burning because you get idiots talking about stuff and you're like, ah! You're not hurting them. You're hurting you. I love you guys. Forgive those who have hurt you. Love those that have hurt you. You don't have to ever tell them that. It's between you letting it go and saying, I love you as a human. I love you. You harmed me. I forgive you. I love you. And I wish you the best in this journey. And then that boomerang's going to go out. And it doesn't happen overnight, by the way. It's taken me years. But now people ask me how I'm so blessed. It goes all the way back to those starting of forgiveness. So this isn't an instant overnight get rich quick thing, right? Where you just throw the boomerang out and instantly you get it back. That's not how it works. It's going to take effort and time to change. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm the happiest person on earth right now. I've never been this happy. And when people ask you, what is the best time of your life? One date behind me. There's not one date in my 50 years that is the best days of my life, because the best days of my life are right ahead of me. It's tonight and it's tomorrow. Those are the best days of my life. God bless you all. I love you all. We'll see you next week.